I will now cover our case studies from Japan, the UK, and Germany. There are great opportunities for US beef in Japan and the EU. With regards to Japan, we can see an increase in beef consumption by 12% in the past 5 years. And at the same time, there has been a decrease in Australian beef due to the drought that they were experiencing. So we try to answer the question here, where are particular opportunities where US beef could compete? Is it through quality, through food safety, or maybe through the price? Our research questions are, what is consumers' willingness to pay in the respective countries for US beef? How do they value quality labels? And are they willing to pay more for US beef that carries a quality label? The objectives are to understand consumers' choices of beef products and to highlight the potential for the US to expand exports to Japan and Europe. And we also aim to explain the impact of export-oriented labeling schemes on choices. As, for example, you can see here, this is the quality and safety label. This is a label in Germany. And if you're exporting to Germany, you can apply for that label, and then your exported beef could carry a country-specific label. So we are looking into that as well to see if that could be an option. The data that we are using here are very broad. We recruited beef consumers from the general population between 2013 and 2023. For Japan, we only have a survey in 2022. We had 654 consumers from major cities. But for the UK and Germany, we surveyed consumers in 2013, 2019, 2022, and 2023. So that gives us a database of over 5,000 beef consumers. Here's the design of the choice experiment that we did in Japan. We focused on thinly sliced chakai roll, which is a popular meat cut there. We included different price points as characteristic. Then we included 3 different countries as a characteristic. So Japan for the domestic beef, and then the US and Australia. And we also included a quality grade that is country specific here, which means if the particular product was labeled for quality and was from Japan, it would carry the Wagyu beef. If it was from the US, it would carry the certified Angus beef label. And for Australia, we included the true Aussie beef. And then we also included a production label. I mentioned it in the introduction that consumers in certain countries are rather concerned with beef produced with artificial growth hormones. So just having a label on there, if your beef was produced without the use of growth hormones, then it could potentially increase willingness to pay. And here are the examples of the choice sets we used in Japan. We have 3 different alternatives, so the consumers will be asked which of these 3 alternatives is your preferred beef choice. And as in the case that Shijun described, they can also opt out. If neither of these alternatives is something that they would like to buy, then they just choose none of these. To have this a little bit enlarged, here you can see beef in the lower left corner. If it's from the US and labeled for quality, it would carry the certified Angus beef. And then in the center for Japan, that would be the Wagyu beef. And here are the results for the willingness to pay. As before, we see that imported beef has a negative willingness to pay. It is discounted. The US, slightly less discounted than Australian beef. For the no growth hormone labels and the quality grade labels, we find a positive willingness to pay. So consumers are willing to pay a premium if the product carries either of these labels. And we see that the willingness to pay for the growth hormone free label is quite a bit higher. Now, looking at the country specific labels, we see that Angus or certified Angus beef for the US has a higher willingness to pay than the true Aussie label. And that means even though the imported beef from the US is discounted, having quality beef So there, and then also label it for a quality grade, if that applies, will increase the willingness to pay. And then here are the results for the choice experiments in the UK and in Germany. We had beef steak here with 2 alternatives. So again, we ask, do you prefer A or B? Or if they don't want any of them, they just choose none of these. Here we focus on 6 different product characteristics. We included the price with 6 different levels. I should also mention that all the prices that we use in our choice experiments are based on market observation. So we are going to the actual stores to find the prices, and we also do an online research. So to cover kind of like realistic price levels in the different countries. The countries of origin we chose here were 6. We included, for example, Argentina, because Argentinian beef is usually quite popular in Germany. And then we included the quality seals that can also be used for imported products. We have the QNS, quality and safety label in Germany, and we have the red tractor label in the UK study. We also included a purely promotional claim, just saying gourmet. Here, no certification would be necessary. And then again, we include a hormone-free label. Even though beef treated artificially with growth hormones is banned in the EU, that does not necessarily mean that consumers are aware of that. So they may have a misperception towards US beef that it would have been treated with hormones, and therefore including a label like that might be beneficial. So here just 2 larger pictures. Again, you can see the different labels that we have, and then of course always the country-specific language. And here are the results for the willingness to pay for country of origin. You can see we have the data from 2013 to 2023. I'm just displaying the numbers for the US here in bright red. Again, we see that imported beef throughout is discounted, so we have a negative willingness to pay here, and that is rather typical for all studies, not just the ones that we conducted. What we see though over time is that the discount is lessened a little bit. So we start with minus 488 in 2013 in the UK, and then in 2023 it's 329. And in Germany, we start at a discount of 409, and then by 2023, the discount is 347. Overall, we can see that US beef fares a little bit better in comparison to the countries that we have in the UK compared to Germany. Also in Germany, we have a slight dip, actually probably not that slight, between 2022 and 2023. So these are preliminary results, and we will look more into that, whether we can tease out why that would be the case. Now looking at the additional labels, when it comes to certified quality labels or food safety labels, we see that in the UK, we have throughout a premium that consumers are willing to pay for it, although that premium is lower than in 2023 than what we saw in 2013. And we do see quite a bit of variation throughout the years here. In Germany, we see that the willingness to pay for the quality and safety seal has gone down from 2013 to 2023, and in 22 and 23, it is discounted. So here our suggestion would be in the UK, it could be worth and beneficial to apply for the red tractor label if possible, to increase willingness to pay for US beef, but in Germany in recent years, that does not seem to make much sense anymore given certification cost. And here's just a picture of how that looks in the German grocery store. So often we get the question, do consumers actually know what these labels mean? In the lower left corner, you can see a huge banner that is literally like covering multiple shelves. It's so big. So they communicate what that label stands for. but as we can see, German consumers currently do not have a positive willingness to pay for it. And then we have a purely promotional claim, and here we can see that throughout the years, this has been positive. The willingness to pay we receive is quite similar between the two countries. Though there is some fluctuation, we still see a premium that consumers are willing to pay for something that literally just says gourmet. And here is a picture of how that looks, for example, in the German market. So that would be another marketing alternative for US beef that is cheap. This is not certified, so one can just put that on the package. And as we can see, that can lead to a premium. Then finally, coming again to the hormone-free production label, and again, we see this receives the highest willingness to pay in both countries, although again, willingness to pay has been going down throughout the years, but there is a rather large premium that consumers are willing to pay for beef products that carry such a label. Given that the EU has the ban anyways and the beef sold there is produced hormone-free, this might probably be the best label to put on US beef to receive a premium and to kind of make up for the discounts received for imported beef. And with that, I finish here and I give over to Andrew.